Welcome to Action 14, bringing you information from the school, from the city, and from the arts. I start tonight with Mayor Pullman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure to visit with TV 14 and the viewers and what's going on around town.
We've got spring upon us. In fact, spring felt like it was over and we had summer there already. We've got some heat
I
in here.
just hope that we don't go back to fall before summer comes.
But you've got a lot of things on your plate, and let's start out with a couple of them. We first have to talk about city administrator, utility manager. Where are we on that?
Well, I think a lot of people are curious what's going on there, and that's a very good question. The status, short answer is we're in the interview process, and at this point, we have gone through 2 rounds of elimination, and we're now down to a final selection, which we'll do later in the month of May, and hopefully have our city attorney put together a contract, because they're an at-will employee. Then that contract is reviewed with their lawyer, representing the potential new city administrator, utility manager, and we're hoping to have that ready for our last meeting, which happens to be May 31st, to approve the contract in its entirety. Then, of course, typically that means that individual would have to give 2 months' notice where they currently are. So that would mean June and July. If we get lucky, we might have somebody on board before Labor Day. Would be good. That's always good whenever people are taking new jobs, because sometimes there's children involved in school and different things. So relocation, and we looked at it trying to work backwards from before school starts and see where we could fit everything in, and if we do it in August sometime, we'll be happy.
Now, the Common Council did this all on their own.
Correct, yeah. There was discussion of having a citizen or 2 involved in the selection process, and the majority of the council said, no, we'll do it. We're the elected bodies, and we'll just move ahead with it. The involvement of community would have added more time to it, and that it's just what it is. You know, you can't, when you try to, it's like herding cats. When we have standard meetings on Tuesday night, and that's already in the cards, but now when you try to get 8 people, 10 people, 15 people around a different time on a different day at a different hour, yeah, it's herding cats, and it becomes a real challenge. So that was part of it, and we didn't have all the council members present for each interview process either, and that was only 8. So you have to try to get a quorum, you have to keep the ball moving, and we are where we are today.
Okay, and so we're hopefully by the time school starts, we will have someone in the chair.
Correct, and we really hope that to be the case, because budget season is upon us on the city side as well as the school. You're always 6 months ahead of us, but yeah, come July, we're hammering away at next year's budget.
Right.
And Kathy Austin is chomping at the bit because she wants this off of her shoulders, and I don't blame her.
Right.
And we worked at it real hard and fast last year, and quite frankly, I don't want it on my shoulders either, because there's a lot that goes into budget prep, and it's just something that you have to get into and really, put your nose to the grinder.
Let's talk about the police chief. First of all, we should thank for how many years. Did they have a typo error?
always teased Chief Tauschek that he had more vacation time coming than he did work because he was there so long. And
Over 40 years?
yes, yeah, 42 years, did everything from, well, school liaison.
He was, yes, he
yeah,
was.
Foot patrol, bike patrol.
Yeah.
He was our last officer that had a Harley license. And of course, he turned that in 2 years ago, so we sold that. But yeah, he's been through the whole, actually, Chief Tauschek, I became mayor. The next month, Don Davis retired and Chief became the assistant chief to chief. So he's been 16 years, my whole tenure as police chief.
Yep.
And I didn't think it was that long, but evidently it is, and time flies when
Well,
you're busy.
first of all, congratulations to him for 42 years of
Amazing.
of helping Plymouth and keeping us safe.
It really is amazing, the tenure of not only Jeff, but a lot of our staff in different departments, how long they're with the city. And you think 42, well, that's not much. Well, yeah, it is, because, you know, we have a lot of people in the 30s
Yep.
in all our departments. So, and we've had, in my 16 years, a pretty good turnover, a couple a year. So our workforce is getting a little younger, which is okay for us older guys. You know, we like to be around younger people. It makes us feel good. But it's definitely, the Fire and Police Commission handles the hiring, the recruiting, the whole thing. It's a state statute.
That's what I wanted to mention, is that the city has no...
We have no input on it.
No.
The only input I get is that I get to sign the paycheck each week.
All right.
Other than that, it's completely separate, and that's by design, I think, which is a good thing. You take the influence of elected officials off of the chief of police and the department. So we negotiate the contract with the union, but other than that, the Fire and Police Commission has their entire process. And I think, rumor has it, because I'm not part of that committee, the process is going to start sometime now, the end of May, and they have recruiting material out on different police recruitment sites. They have it on our city website, and it's been advertised in the municipal magazine, where a lot of vacancies that occur statewide in municipal offices are listed. So where they are in that, how many applicants they have, I have no idea. I don't even ask questions because I have nothing to do with it.
So it's highly unlikely one of our local policemen will take that job, or they can apply, but they apply with everybody throughout the state?
That's true. If there was someone who would be interested, they would go through the application process. I was told that the department has nobody inside that is interested in it or at the present time qualifies for it.
Okay.
So I think it's a combination of two things there. And of course, last year, Assistant Chief Ringel retired. And of course, he did qualify, but he's no longer there. And as the promotions have come along in the last 6 to 8 months, there's not enough tenure and or experience in there. So it'll definitely be somebody from the outside, just like our fire chief came from the outside. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be up to you and I to break them in.
I
This is
definitely
Plymouth, eh?
think so, yeah. And
Put me on the list.
I've already told Chief Tauschek, I hope that he left a note in the drawer that you have to say cheese, please.
Yep.
And you get a lot further ahead in Plymouth.
Right, right. And he's got to be on TV 14.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I have to mention, it was just yesterday. I'm driving, take a left to go to Riverview, right rather, go to Riverview, and I look over across the pond, and I'm seeing ground. That water is so low right now, and now you're going to tell us why.
I'll try. Unfortunately, over the winter, not every winter, but different winters, we end up with some damage on the Mill Pond Dam. And a couple boards were broken. To get to replacing those boards, they actually have to draw down the water
Yep.
in order to get to the steel enforcement in order to extract and take out the old board that is still there because part of it broke away. And then manufacture, because it's, they put it on the table and they trace it and cut it and all that stuff. And then they have to put the board back in and
Yeah.
bolt it down. Many years ago, they used to, I was told, use a little kind of like a sleeve, and they would slip boards in and out, which was very easy. Problem was that it was also easy for the vandals to slip them in and out too and throw them over the dam, and they'd find them down on Milwaukee Street or something. So they've gone to really fastening them quite securely. So they took 2 boards out to fix them, and yeah, it's drawing down really fast. I actually talked with Kathy Austin, the director, today, and she said that she hopes to have those in within a day or two.
Okay.
And of course, we're expecting rain Wednesday or Thursday this week. It'll fill up pretty quick if we get some
Okay.
rain. And of course, then I said to her, now that's a guarantee, right? And she paused for a minute and she said, what do you have going on? And I said, well, we have the June, I think it's 3rd or 4th, the first Saturday.
Fishing.
Fishing statewide is free fishing day, and the Mill Pond Association is restocking the
Yeah.
pond, and they're gonna, after 2 years, they're bringing back the fishery and the bobber run. So we want the pond to be back up
Yeah.
in time for that, and that's still 2 weeks away. It fills pretty quick because it's all spring fed.
Certainly.
And if we get any rain at all, it'll fill up and you won't see that in no time.
I was so concerned that I'm going, are we done with the pond?
Oh.
And I was very concerned about that. We just put the kayak in there, et cetera.
And the Mill Pond Lake Association, boy, did that get the attention of that group
I
real
bet.
quick, because right now, I don't know that you can really launch from that.
No.
Because it's dropped about, 8 inches? And,
Easily.
That makes all the difference in the world, and you can't run that out any further because it's anchored in. So I think by the end of this week, the boards will be back in.
Okay.
And then it'll refill on its own, and we should be in good shape. But it doesn't take long for that water flow to really get over the dam, and once it's gone, it's gone. So we're hoping, and Kathy said, yeah, it'll be okay.
So the pond is coming back and we will have fish.
We will have fish. The Mill Pond Association is spending about $500, and I was told that there's some pretty nice ones they're
Okay,
putting in
good,
there.
good.
So, There'll be a contest. Get out your rods and reel.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the downtown design report has been, you're contracting to get an actual design of downtown Plymouth, a master plan. Is that correct?
We are. The same group, MSA is the company name, and they're doing our master plan, which by state statute, we have to update every 10 years. And basically, it takes that magic ball and looks at where the growth in the city is and then projects where that growth is going to continue. So now the 10 years is up and we're updating, comparing what was projected 10 years ago to what actually happened. And now we're projecting using the updated information to the next 10 years. And we actually take a couple shots at 20 years just because of the growth of the city, the manufacturing, the residential, the business district. And when you look back, there's been quite a lot that's happened in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
So we're really excited about that. But then we further extended MSA's contract on the master plan, and that has to be approved and adopted, and then that's sent into Madison. Then we also contracted with them to do what you asked about, the downtown design.
Yeah.
And we've been leading up to this, that goes back 4 or 5 years. It's taken us that long to get the downtown historical preservation through the entire process. The cheese counter, of course, which I hope everybody visits because I love it down there. And so that we got historical credits on that. And then, of course, almost every building downtown is in the historic district that
Right.
we have. So all of these were preludes to getting a group of people going back to 2013 to actually have meetings, and we've met for probably 10 months now, to look at what works in Plymouth, what doesn't work in Plymouth. MSA does a lot of these community surveys in other parts of Wisconsin, similar size, some bigger, some smaller. And they look and see what distinctions they have, some of the quality inputs to that, and then they put a questionnaire together. We've had 2 public open houses asking for people to have input, and then they take those back and put it all in that big bowl and stir it up, and so now we've had 2 meetings with small groups, a couple of us on the committee, and it's a committee that I appointed with the council confirmation of those appointments. So there's always checks and balances in the system. They will have a meeting in June. I forget the exact date. I think it's the 3rd Thursday in June, to put together, and that's a public meeting, it'll be published. That's to get kind of a draft of all of the work that's been done for 10, 11 months, bring it together and say, okay, here's some recommendations for not a required, each building has to look like this, but kind of a conceptual approach to how we want the city to look and how to attract. Probably the worst example I could do, I do it all the time because that's what I do, but you don't want a pink polka dot building in the middle of downtown.
There you go.
So we're trying to prevent that type of thing without telling people that you have to have green shutters, for
Got it.
instance, because there's simply a theme that we're trying to make visible, to make people appreciate, and all of that is what attracts our tourism, it attracts other businesses to us. We have a very good group that follows the chamber and what the Downtown Association does. It's very popular. We know we have Road America. So all these things are part of the fabric that goes into making Plymouth a destination. And it's really a package deal. It's taken, well, from 2013 was when the first thoughts were put together. So it doesn't come about overnight. And so the city put some skin in the game to, since MSA was already, has a lot of the material because of the master plan. Okay, now what additional things can you bring forward and talk to us about? And we're hoping to have that final report probably in October, which is very encouraging.
Okay. Lastly, let's talk about, just briefly, I got a letter in the mail that I'm going to have someone walking through my yard and looking at my house, et cetera, and to tell everybody not to be scared of this.
Not to be alarmed.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're coming to look over, only from the outside.
Correct, yeah.
The value, reevaluate my house.
The, again, state statutes
Yep.
sometimes dictate some of the things that we have to do. Plymouth has been very fortunate. The housing prices have been anywhere from 14 to 18% higher.
Yep.
That puts our assessment out of kilter with all of the different calculations that we have to make according to the state. And that started actually last September with a lot of the paperwork behind the scenes, and now we'll have 2 to 3 to 4 assessors canvassing the city during the summer, and they will have ID badges on that will identify them. So if people see, and their cars will have signs on them, but if people have any doubt, someone comes to their house or asks something, or they see them walking through the yard and taking pictures, all those are requirements. They can call the city, and every day we will have a list of the assessors in the city and what areas they're working in, because we don't want people to think that, you know, someone is snooping around or something
But
like that.
it's a requirement.
It's a requirement.
Yep.
$85,000 a requirement.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's what we said. Ouch.
I'll go around and take a few pictures.
I volunteered to do it on the weekend.
But anyway, no, it's nothing to be concerned about. These people are hired, they'll have IDs, the cars are gonna be marked.
Yep.
And, but it's going to be happening this summer.
Yeah, and that will be finished for the year-end tax rolls that come out, of course, you know, Merry Christmas time.
And no good news is gonna come from that.
Well, we're actually,
We saved enough money this winter because we didn't get any snow.
yeah, that's a good thing, but I think we have some good news on the horizon
Good,
regarding that and closing our TIF 4. Things are gonna balance out, I think, pretty decent.
All right, good. Well, I certainly want to thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
on. I should mention to everybody that the council will have their meetings the second and last Tuesday of every month at City Hall, starting at 7
7 o'clock.
p.m. Be part of what's happening in the city, and thank you again for being
You're
on.
welcome. My pleasure, Mike. Thank you.
When we come back, we'll be talking to Dan Mella and the school about things happening in the school, wrapping up what has been a successful school year. So stay right with us. You're watching Action 14. Okay, so we'll talk election of officers. You have to do that every
Every year after the
elections.
elections, yep. Yep. 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to Action 14. I have with me now Dan Mella, Superintendent of Plymouth School District. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
We had a school board meeting here last night, and not a lot of things go on, but some things you have to do, and one is the election of officers.
Right. So every year after the school board elections, the board gets to reorganize itself. And so who is going to be the president, the vice president, the clerk, and the treasurer. Those all get appointed by the board members, and the people that vote on that are the board members themselves. So in a situation where the board is happy with how things are moving and their communication with the school district personnel, myself, and each other, typically boards will just maintain the status quo and appoint similar officers to where they've been in the past, which is what happened with us, which is kind of nice because continuity is a nice thing because people understand their roles as a as a president, as a vice president. They know what committees they're assigned to. They've got some background knowledge in how those things work and what projects they're working on, say, in those committees. And so I'm happy that we had the same officers they've agreed to do those positions. There was a little bit more work with some of them and some more responsibility. So I'm glad they chose to continue and that the other board members voted for them to do that. And the only change we had was we've got a couple of people with some expertise on the committee side of things. We had Janelle Bone picked up, for example, the committee working on policy, because that is also her job in her real life, is working on some of those legal documents, and so she has an interest in that just in her life. So, yeah, I was very happy with how it turned out, and so that means, the district is moving forward in a similar fashion with the same leadership and continuity, and that's important.
Let's talk some good news. I think we can talk a little bit of good news about insurance.
Yes. So, for people out there that don't know, schools are capped as to how much they can spend in any given year per pupil in the district. And so we've been capped at the 2020 rates since 2020.
Yeah.
And so we have to do a lot of creative things in order to keep our budget and neutral and all of that.
And everybody should know that we are one of the lowest spending districts in the state of Wisconsin.
Correct. We're in the bottom 10% is what we are allotted to spend per pupil. And we've been there for a long time, which speaks to the frugality of our area, but also the creativity and the good work that's done within the district to still produce and offer a good product at a very low price compared to other places. So that's a good point. So one of the ways we are always trying to do is to lower personnel costs. And as everybody knows, health insurance costs and rates and health insurance and health, just the costs of healthcare are continuing to grow and grow and grow. That's not new because with this latest inflationary round. It's been going on for 20 years.
Yes.
It's way past the rate of inflation. So one of the things we focus on is health and wellness in the district. We put a big emphasis on that with our employees. We have incentives for being healthy and well. Within our, we offer all kinds of classes, and we try to make sure people are taking care of themselves and give them the opportunity to do that. And so over the last couple of years, our employees have used less of our health care dollars than what we've paid in to the insurance company in the form of premiums. So that makes us an attractive group for an insurance company to come and take and to work with. So this year, we were offered a smallish increase by our current insurance company, but when we negotiate, we're always trying to get a better deal. and we negotiate with the companies, and we couldn't get our current company to come down to where we thought they should. So we went out to bid, and when we did that, we were able to get another company to bid a complete zero increase to our rates, and without changing anything with our insurance. So that we thought that was very good. We showed this bid to our current insurance carrier. They didn't want to match it. They didn't want to lose us, but they didn't want to match it. And I think they thought maybe we would just not change because, for the want of 2%. But, we run things very close and tight to our margins. And so we did. We went we're going to be going with a new company. That's more work for our payroll and for our HR function. It's more learning for our teachers, and there's some, although not much changes, it still is a new company. And so there's always questions that come up with a new company. But that's just the kind of thing that we do here on a regular basis to get the best deal for the amount of money that we're allowed to spend at our cap limit, which you said is we're one of the lowest spending districts in the state.
Right, and we've been the low, and they capped that, you see. That's the really oddity of it, is that we were a low spending district the year that a governor we had decided to cap what schools could spend. And so if we'd been in a building project at that time, things would have been a whole lot nicer.
Right.
But as it was, we weren't, and so we have been capped in the lower 10% for better than 20 years now.
Right. And in a lot of those years when there was additional funding that came to schools, it came to schools in a formula in which it was a percentage.
Right.
So if there was an increase in the percentage per pupil, places like the North Shore, all around the suburbs of Milwaukee, which are some of your highest spending districts, they were already spending a big chunk more than we were. And so when it was a percentage, they also got a bigger chunk.
Right.
And so the gap just kept on widening and widening.
But the good news is that we're able to work under that. We have some great people pushing the numbers, and so we've been very successful.
We have. Yeah. It would be nice to get a break on that and have some low spending revenue limit relief, and there had been for a little while prior to the pandemic. But I think the political situation in the state is just so toxic right now that nobody wants to give anybody a win or even a perceived win. And so we're just kind of stuck.
Right, yeah. Well, let's talk some other good news. We've been with the WIA for a few years, and you have to vote every year, but you voted again. We're going to stay with the WIA. They are the people that are behind and manage the sports throughout the state.
Right, and so in order for our students to be part of, going to state, the state playoff system, or to have varsity athletics and to compete against and be in a conference and all of those things, you have to be a member of the WIAA. And so last night was the night that we again decided that we would stay and not branch out as an independent contractor. But yes, we're going to be back with the WIAA. So families out there, people with kids in sports, going on into next year, if you've got an eye on a state playoff run or something along those lines, we'll be back at it looking for another gold statue of some sort.
But now let's talk about some other positive things, because our band just got back from Disney. We've got travel going on again.
Right.
We're authorizing people to travel out of state, and it's all working out very well.
Yep, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID still exists. It's around. And we opened up our groups to do some travel outside of the state, farther, to overnight trips to certain places and field trips and things like that. And so, at the board meeting, we actually approved 3 additional out-of-state field trips, 2 of which would be occurring during the summer, and 1 would be during the spring break of next year. The softball is applying to go to Florida for a spring break batch of games during the next school year. And then FBLA, for example, is going to be going to a national convention in summertime. But the good news is that, yeah, kids are once again able to have these out-of-state field trip, big experiences that kind of last in their minds for the rest of their lives. Like, the kids that go to Disney never forget that.
Right.
And the chaperones don't either.
That's right. I remember too much of it.
and so, but those experiences, there had been a little bit of time there where the kids were unable to go, and that was kind of something that they missed. And I'm just glad that currently we're able to get them back traveling, and it's interesting that many of the travel companies that used to offer, the kind of the organization and fee collecting and all of that in the past, some of them, I'll say, had ultimately went out of business during the COVID pandemic. And so the number of organizations that do that kind of business is fewer now. So it's just kind of interesting to see how the market is a little bit different now, since there was a thinning of companies during the pandemic.
And some other things coming back. We should mention that we've got the parade. We've got the Memorial Parade is going to be happening on Memorial Day.
Yes.
And Conrad Kaskowski with the American Legion is still looking for people to be in the parade. But guaranteed, the Plymouth High School band will be in it.
They will be.
And they will have the regular gathering at the cemetery and speeches, etc. So we're bringing it back.
Right, and in fact, I saw the band was out using the track as their marching spot to get their timing down and everything. So you didn't see that for a little while, and it was nice to see them out going again. So yes.
And of course, graduation is on. We want to make sure everybody knows that. That's June 5th. Everybody will be down at the park, and we will have our graduation ceremonies as we have in the past.
It'll be a perfect, clear, 68-degree day. Calm winds. The TV-14 crew won't be having to deal with the noise of a windy day or the rain. It'll be perfectly broadcast, and the sound will be perfect.
We'll do the best we can to broadcast. We'll do the best we can. One thing very positive, $1.5 million in awards to our students, our seniors.
Yes. Every year we have a scholarship evening during which the senior class is... The people that offer the scholarships come to the auditorium, they read about what the scholarship is, and then they announce the winner of the scholarship. Some of that is done by our Plymouth Education Foundation. I believe they had about $55,000 worth of scholarships that they donated. But yes, in total, $1.5 million worth of scholarships were handed out to our senior class. And that doesn't even include many schools give grants or foundational bits of money to bring down the total cost for kids, and that's not even included. These are just straight up scholarships that kids can use for their both technical education and the four-year education. And so every year, it's just amazing how many dollars get awarded to kids, and making that higher ed a possibility for some, and that's really great.
It was a great night for many parents because the pocketbook won't be quite as low.
Right. Exactly.
Now, I know we had a fifth grade activity going on, something regarding masters.
What we actually had was, we offer a master's degree program for our teachers.
Fifth. Yeah.
Yep. And this year marks the graduation of our fifth group of master's degree recipients that we work in concert with UWGB. And so teachers that come here, it's one of the ways that we can retain teachers is we offer them a graduate degree that they don't have to go traveling up to UWGB or somewhere else. it's in an area that is an interest to them. It's their, becoming a better teacher, creating something new in a school, doing something innovative. They do a project. And so this coming Wednesday, they're going to be presenting their projects, and board members and family members, and UWGB comes and puts out a big spread. And so this is it takes about 2 years for the students to graduate with a master's degree. And this is our 5th time through. So by my math, we've been doing this for about 10 years.
Yep.
And it doesn't seem possible that we've been doing it for this long, but we've had over 100 teachers now receive their master's degree from UWGB, and they're working with kids here in this district. Some have moved on, a couple of them have retired, but in what they learn in that master's degree is directly applicable to what they're doing in the classroom. So they become a better teacher. They become more knowledgeable in a method, a subject, a set of technology, all kinds of different things. And then they're able to impart that to students. And in many cases, help their fellow teachers with what they've learned become better at using a certain method or a technology, for example. And so the reward and the payout and the impact ultimately is intended to have a better experience for the kids in the district. And so we believe it's a valuable investment, and the teachers certainly continue to apply to be in ongoing cohorts, and they ultimately have graduate, and there's a big sense of pride. You'll see them at graduation. They'll be wearing their UWGB Masters cords, and so it's kind of neat. It's a really good program.
Let's wrap up and talk about sports, because that's one of my favorite subjects. We are wrapping up, actually, the spring sports season. It has been a remarkable season. It was a little chilly early, and the kids were running in snow, playing softball in some flurries.
Snow.
Yeah, but there's almost a softball game every night now to catch up. But they are catching up, and the track meets all are done here, and we are now looking at next week start the playoffs.
Right, and in fact, we had a couple of conference meets yesterday. So tennis won the conference. I believe boys track finished second. The girls track might have been fifth. But so yeah, we're getting into that playoff kind of run now, heading towards state, and this gets to be a real exciting time of year. Anything can happen. You get somebody has a good jump or a good throw, or a pitcher really gets on a good tear, and you can go pretty deep, and communities get excited, and right up until I think about 1.5 weeks ago, it was still miserable.
It was.
And we were canceling games at a rate. I think everybody kind of agrees that we may have never canceled or postponed this many games in a spring.
Well, it's added to the fact that we have spring baseball now too, though.
Correct.
And they got canceled along with everything else.
Correct. Yeah, that's a big factor too.
But one of the good things coming is that now it's time to, very shortly, we'll be working on the track.
Right.
And so they'll be resurfacing the track, doing a bit of water work out there, and then
there will be turf over the top of the football field. And it's no longer just a football field. It will also be a soccer field.
Right.
And so it'll be lined for both football and soccer. And again, this was 100% donated by people in the community, sponsored by companies in the community. So again, thank you for that.
Not a single nickel of taxpayer money.
The turf is 100% paid for. And what's really interesting is this year, because of the really bad weather, obviously grass doesn't grow.
Right.
We have a really nice soccer field, and our soccer coaches and players always love playing on the grass. Well, this year the grass here and in a lot of other places was just bad. I mean, it wasn't growing. You're basically playing on bumpy dirt.
Yep.
And so wherever anybody had a turf field that they were able to play on, our kids tend to be pretty skilled, and we were just, it really is an advantage for us to play our soccer games on turf. So all of a sudden now, the soccer community is saying, you know what? We're really looking forward to this
Yes, we are.
because it's the same exact size field we can have on that's down in the varsity field, up on the turf, and you could even play into the dark.
That's right.
Although this year, if you played into the dark, you would have been frozen. You'd have been taken out of there and had to be thawed with some heaters. But yeah, so that's exciting, and yeah, the district is paying for and had budgeted for the track resurfacing, and there were some low spots that needed to be filled, but also some drainage work.
Yes.
So we're paying for we got to pull some drain tiles. We got to get some old bad soils out of there. We got to get some of some new soils in and drainable rock and things like that. So we were going to be covering that cost anyway. But the turfing over the top, the community's paying for, and we're very happy with that.
I'm looking forward to seeing the field when it comes to first fall sports.
Right, it's going to be orange and black.
That's right. Well,
Well, it'll be green in the middle. It won't be like Idaho where it's blue. Is that the
isn't
one?
that something?
Yeah, we won't do that.
No. Well, I want to thank you for being on. I want to tell everybody that the school board meetings are the third Tuesday of every month, 5:30 here in the Plymouth High School amphitheater. And we're looking forward to summer. We'll get caught up in the summer and then get ready for fall.
Sounds great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
When we come back, I'm going to have Julie Ogleby talking to me about a few things happening and a brand new item that they're introducing for the first time down at the Arts Center. Stay right with us. You're watching Action 14.
Right now.
Three,
Welcome back to Action 14. I have with me Julie Ogleby. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike Briggs.
You're here representing the arts, the fine arts, the Plymouth Arts. We are so blessed in Plymouth to have an arts center that takes care of so many things. You know, it's either on the stage, on the wall, and it is just marvelous.
I would agree with that.
Yes, we have
Definitely.
so many things going on. One of the things happening right now is you have the juried art show is now hung or placed down there until August 5th.
At the Gallery 110 North, so that is within the Plymouth Arts Center. And it is a juried show, which means that in order to get in the show, you had to have your artwork chosen to be in the show. And then, of course, the person that is the jurist decides on who the winners are, and
Yep.
there are prizes for those winners.
And so we'll be bringing up many different things where you can pick up tickets, et cetera, down at the Arts Center, or call it in. But I think you should always stop down because stop and see the show.
Right, and the show is free.
Yes, that's so
Which is
many
great.
things that we mention about the Arts Center. So much of it is free, that we want people to enjoy the arts. And and of course, while they're there, we should also have some gift ideas also down there that you should always check out.
Right, because some of those juried artists, or even some that are in the area, have their artwork in the gift shop, which is very nice. It makes great gifts. You're
Yeah.
right, Mike. I totally agree with that. Yes.
Yes, but now the Satori art, every year Satori concerts have been happening for several years now. The very
Right.
first one is coming up May 28th, and it's a special one, May 28th at 7:30. Admission is, think about it, when you go, we've been to shows. $13 to go to a show to see talent that we put on stage.
Incredible talent.
Yes,
And what's so amazing about this one
right.
is that there are going to be 5 high school students. And you think high school students, you question possibly caliber, right? But I have to say, I got to hear recently one of them, Annika Nelson, who is from Plymouth. She actually had 3 other high school PHS students perform with her at Generations, and I went to see them. It was incredible. So Annika Nelson is one of them that is now going to be performing at the Sartori concert. She plays classical guitar, which is a special way of playing guitar. It's using a nylon string guitar. She is so great at it. She has mastered the craft. I talked with her. She has taken lessons for 12 years, or at least guitar for 12. When I saw her perform, having played guitar myself, I would say I'd put her beyond. She's going on to school for guitar at UW-Milwaukee. But I would say she's already accomplished what you need to accomplish to do your senior recital at a university.
Wow.
She is that phenomenal. She performed 4 pieces. When I saw her, I'm assuming she'll be doing the same at the Art Center. And they were all memorized, so that was lovely. Another person that will be performing the same show is Alex Weisensell. Alex is, I believe, a junior here at Plymouth High School, and he'll be doing saxophone. The other 3 students, I'm not sure what schools they're from, but they are high school students. So I think that is going to be a wonderful show and highly recommend going. It is on Saturday, May 28th.
Yep.
And it's the first Sartori concert of the 2022 season.
Yes, and so be involved, stop down early to walk around, enjoy the gift shop, and then a 7:30 show, the Sartori Concerts, May 28th. Now, one of the things coming up also is the Spring Art Tour, and that's an annual event that has been going on for several years, and there's going to be like 40 artists throughout the area, and you can visit each one. You can drive, we'll have several down at the Arts Center, and then you can go everywhere from Elkhart Lake and all around to see many different artists.
And different genres of art. This afternoon, as I was preparing to come here and take the place of Donna, the executive director of the Art Center, I actually called some of the artists today because I was curious. And there are some new ones this year that are joining the show. They're very excited because they're going to be on location in their studios. And you can go anywhere up to Elkhart Lake, down to, I see there's one in Belgium this year. I don't know if that's new or not, but I've been to some down in the Random Lake area, several in the Plymouth area, and Mike is right. There are going to be several that will be within the Art Center, the great room of the Plymouth Arts Center. And it is 2 days, so it's going to be Friday, June 10th, it's coming up, and Saturday, June 11th. They're starting at 10 in the morning and going till 6 on Friday, I believe, and till 5 on Saturday. And I have to say, this is an event where you need to get your car full of your friends and hop from one studio to the other. I did that one year. I took students from Riverview Middle School that were interested in art. I got their parents' permission to take them in my van, and that's exactly what we did. We opened this beautiful brochure up. It's done so nicely, and they looked at the different artists. How am I doing here, Mike? That's so good.
But there are artists from...
Right, and it's wonderful because it has this map. Do I have it? I don't have it upside down, so this is good. And you can decide where you want to go. And then you can just, look at all the artists and what you're interested in. Is it a woodworker? Is it a metal artist? And so on.
Because you'll be seeing many of them at their location, you will be able to appreciate what they go through to create what they put on the shelf.
I would agree.
It's unbelievable.
And quality work, it's top notch.
And I would always start at the Plymouth Arts Center to pick up your map and also look things over and help support local artists. I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing.
And I do know that usually when you get to their studios, they'll have this sign, they'll have a lawn sign so that you know you're at least getting close to the location. And all
Yep.
the addresses are in here too.
It's always fun when you have local artists being able to show you how they perform what you are able to purchase.
Yes.
That is always so good. Well, we should also talk about Mill Street Live is kicking off for the 14th year. Mill Street Live, we have a few kids from Plymouth, but we have a show that starts up. The first show, look here, is June 24th. And then they play every
Friday night?
Friday night throughout July, and I think their last one is the first Friday in August.
That is correct.
And so look at the schedule of your Friday night starting June 24th, starting at 7:30 down at the Arts Center. They perform everything from Broadway music to, they're just
The
so
latest,
much fun.
what's out there right now,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yes.
A lot of energy.
It is.
It's amazing watching them for 2 hours thinking, how do they pull this off?
And they've been doing it for 14 years down there, and it's that high energy performance of music that you can sometimes sing along and enjoy, and the dance too, the moves that they have. It's always a great time down at the Arts Center for Mill Street Live, and that's every Friday night starting June 24th. Always something happening down at the Arts Center, isn't it?
Yes,
Unbelievable.
it's amazing.
But let's talk about not at the Arts Center, but in Plymouth, the kids from Wisconsin are coming.
Yes, they are. I forgot they have a theme this year. Did you get the theme, Mike?
I do not have the theme either, but the kids from Wisconsin have performed. They perform throughout the state, and actually outside the state, and they are also fantastic. They'll be here in the Plymouth High School auditorium,
Correct.
and that's $20 for adults, 14 for 12 and under, 7 p.m. on July 5th. That should be a great time to see, again, some of the best college students performing.
And we've been fortunate to have also high school, because when I
Yes.
think we had Alex Turasek.
Yes.
When he was 14 years old, he auditioned for the kids,
Yeah.
and he was in the kids for several years. I think all through his high school years.
All through high school.
So the best of the best.
That's right. That's
Definitely.
right. And that's July 5th, right here at Plymouth High School Auditorium. Now, the Jazz Crawl, we never want to forget about. I always mark that on my calendar. The Jazz Crawl's been going on for years. August 12th, mark it. It's from 4:30 till way into the dark sometimes, but different venues downtown, and you never get tired of the music. The Jazz Crawl has been very popular in the city of Plymouth. It was started when we had a golf tournament, actually, that we thought, oh, maybe we'll get some people. We found out we don't need them. We love the music ourselves. The Jazz Crawl has been going on for quite a few years. So mark August 12th. It starts at 4:30. I will tell you what I always do on the Jazz Crawl is I go down to the Arts Center, because there's always a supper, food
Right,
available at the
right.
Arts Center. So my wife and I have supper down at the Arts Center, listen to the music both inside and outside, and then we start wandering. It's always a good time.
It is, I agree. And I know that right now Donna from the Arts Center is working very hard on getting all those venues situated and the musicians.
Well, let's
So-
talk about working very hard. We've got one last item I want to bring up, and that's something brand new that you have decided to do, and it's a Veterans Tribute.
Yes.
And it's not coming, listen, it's not coming till November, but I will tell you, you've got a lot of work to do here to get this all, it's never been done before. Explain exactly what your idea is.
All right, well, I had decided, I had asked Donna Hahn, the director of the Arts Center last year, so 2021, I said, it'd be kind of neat to do a concert for veterans. And she said, I think that's a great idea. And so I said, well, I don't think I can pull it off this year, because it was June at the time, I think I said something to her. So I said, but I think I could do it in 2022. So this year, in November, 2 weekends, November 5th and 6th, so it'll be, and 12th and 13th, so it'll be 2 Saturday evenings and 2 Sunday matinees, afternoon, is when the show is going to take place. And the whole idea is to give back to the veterans, because when I really think about it, well, we know what they have done for us. Hopefully we know what they've done for us. And I'm wondering, what do we really do for them? We do have the Veterans Administration that tries to help our vets. But I do know every year on November 11th, Veterans Day, they will come locally, they'll come into our schools, and they will put on a program for us, really. And so I thought it would be nice to put on a program for them. So that's what we're going to do. And I think the special part that I'd like to share, since I have the opportunity,
Right.
is that I'm really hoping that folks will sponsor a vet. So what I have brought forward is that if you know a veteran and you would like to tell them about the shows, and then say, are you available to go to one of these shows one of these days? Then if you're willing to, you are going to be able to purchase their ticket, and you can either purchase their ticket, that's why it's called sponsoring a vet in this case, either anonymously, or you can actually give them their name. So eventually, if you call the Arts Center, or the tickets will be sold online, the idea would be when you call the Arts Center, you could say, for instance, I'll just give an example, I have a couple of cousins that were in Vietnam, so I could call in and say, I would like to pay for a ticket for this particular cousin, and I could say either it's from a thankful citizen, or I could give my name. And then I would, of course, ahead of time, I'd let that cousin know what days work for you of the 4 days, and then make sure I get those days, for them. And then when they would come to the Art Center to pick up their ticket for the show, it would be at call waiting, and they wouldn't have to pay for it.
Right.
So that's kind of a goal. Right now, we do know that we're getting some sponsors. I know that Sargento's already sponsoring it, and we have Jackie Jarvis
Yes.
who is working on also getting some grants for it to
And
help us
Paul
with
and
the
Kathy
show.
Sartori, I saw their name listed as part of the sponsors of this also.
So this is exciting.
It is.
And as far as the lineup, I'm working on getting performers, musicians.
Yeah.
A lot of them just want to be a part of this show. And there are going to be a lot of actually performers, musicians, because it's more like a variety show with a lot of different songs. I want to keep it somewhat lighthearted, but there'll be some nostalgic songs. And so anyhow, that's what it is. Also, at the same time, before I forget, if there's any veterans that enjoy art, like to do art, there's going to be an kind of veterans artwork that is going to be put on in the Great Room at that same time. Not in the gallery, because the gallery already has a show, but so I know that is something going on. And if you're interested in doing some artwork for that time period, I would contact the Plymouth Arts Center, and they can
Right.
give you more information.
Mark your calendars now. It is November 5th and 6th and November 12th and 13th. It's a Friday night evening. Saturday evening, and then a Sunday 2:30, and for both weekends. And it's a great idea. I like the idea. Sponsor a vet, and so really give it some thought. It is. You got till November, but I'm telling you, you've been working on it for a few months already. It's going to be a lot of work for you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I think it'll be fun.
And I certainly want to thank you for being on. We've covered
welcome.
everything that we know of that's happening right now at the Arts Center, but stop down at the Arts Center. There's always more information. There are classes being taught down there. Find out what's happening in the arts. Thank you again, Julie.
You're welcome, Mr. Briggs.
And I want to thank everyone for being with me here on Action 14. Until next time, I'll be seeing you on the radio. Bye-bye.
All right.
Wow, did we give them some information?